people back there and we didn't have the last month.
Pull up those balances.
Let me, she said I could text her if needed be. Let me text her real quick.
That's the. I see she went over in the last meeting.
It's easier for me to make
Okay.
my phone, I sit on look at that.
She ran.
We'll see. Louise Kennedy. Brett, I don't know if Brett's coming or not.
Anyway, well, all right. This may not be a very long meeting.
If you push your button.
Ready for that? All right, anyway, so let's go ahead and call this meeting to order of the Morgan County Council of Governments on what is it, November the 17th, 2025. So Teresa, you can note who's in attendance here tonight, so this afternoon. So thank you for being here. You probably blame this meeting on me. I apologize. Teresa asked me the other day, we just want to go ahead and cancel it. And I said, my guess is we may not have one in December. So maybe we better just go ahead and have one this month in case we don't have one in December. And then it seems like I haven't been to one of these forever. That's my own fault because I wasn't here to the last one. So anyway, but yeah. So has anybody had a chance to look at the minutes and where to make a motion on the minutes?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for last month's COG meeting.
Second.
A motion by Kelly, second by Raylene. Is there any other discussion on the minutes or corrections?
Amendments to recognize that Angie Tree was on Zoom.
On Zoom.
Okay, we will note that. You were
Oh.
on Zoom.
Angie Trees. Oh.
Angie. Okay, for no other corrections or comments, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? That is unanimous for the minutes. All right, building permit and running totals for the city and the county. I know we don't have any county numbers. We do have the city numbers here. You're welcome to take a look at that. We do have in the city, we have a few things coming down the pike, that's for sure. Apartments, Valley Vista, 128 townhomes, none of those have been built yet. So Ty, any comments on our growth?
28.
Mahogany
By the family tree
Ridge.
Rifle range
Mhm.
and.
south of the.
And then Morgan Creekside is down here. That's a single family residential, right?
Yep.
And then the fourplex is over by, is this the one over by Napa? Or is it no, that's.
I don't know, Teresa, do you know what the fourplex?
A fourplex.
I apologize. The fourplex was approved. That was open over in North Morgan on Jenny Lane, but now that's an applicant that potentially might be doing a 14-plex instead of a fourplex.
That's what I wondered if that was the same one, so,
Riverstone.
Out of a 14 plus.
yeah, they rezoned. They got a rezone approved and then combined
Other property. with
other properties, 2 lots, and then
lot.
Rupp subdivision that's the one that's being built now. I think all of those lots have actually been sold. Quail Hollow, that's being built. Valley Vista Estates. So yeah, so there's quite
Few in the works.
a lot. So anything to add to that, anyone? Jeffrey,
Nope.
Ty, anything more on that?
Nope.
So yes, continuing to grow. If there's nothing else on that, let's move on to the Wasatch Front Regional Committee reports. Has anybody been to one of the committee meetings of the Wasatch Front Regional Council?
I have.
Okay, thank you.
I think I commented last time on this. Things are growing well along the Wasatch fronts. There's a lot of different projects they're doing there, not so much on the Morgan side, because we have to go through UDOT for our funding, but it's fun to see all their projects and focusing on transportation and trails. Maybe we'll get some of that funding up here for trails soon. So
Which committee are you on?
I think I'm on all of them.
Oh, you get to go to all of them.
It's a meeting, huh?
Lots of meetings.
I must admit that the one committee I am on, I have not been there for a while, so,
Really?
yeah.
I see the mayor there.
Yeah,
He's-
my frustration with them is the same as it's always been, and that is you go to them and it just doesn't seem like you spend a whole lot of time talking about anything that has to do with Morgan County, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's understandable, all the populations over there on the other side of the mountain, but yeah.
But it's nice to make a presence.
Yeah,
Forget about us.
that we're still alive.
Actually.
Yeah, yeah, we're
Still
still
up
here.
there.
We're still kicking, so. Anyone else have a committee report? All right. We're cruising right along here, aren't we? Yeah. I was hoping that we'd have these numbers on the ramp tax, the local sales option and the corridor.
She did respond. She says they have not, she says they 100% have not changed since the last meeting. So if we still have those numbers, they are the same.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so,
that, nothing has changed.
I have one update, just,
okay,
so the COG had recommended the 400,000 for corridor preservation to the county commission. And they had approved 250 of that and went back after we got the appraisal from the UDOT property that we were purchasing with the funds, and they awarded the remaining 150. So we did get, the city got a check from that fund for 400,000. So that's been full circle. It's all complete now, so.
Yeah. I think
And we bought
that
the
was at
prop,
last meeting, we approved that.
oh, did we?
I think the last commission meeting.
Yeah, the last
Was
commission meeting, yeah.
50,000 to go to the 400. Yeah.
Yep. So just to report back to COG that recommendation went all the way through. We bought the property and we've been reimbursed already. So
so that was the one where
we
you,
appreciate it.
that was the one time where you said the first appraisal was like 700 and something thousand, and then
720.
you went to bat for us and kind of said,
Well,
wait a minute, and
it just, so what happened is UDOT sent me the wrong appraisal.
oh,
And then ours was 720, but they sent me an appraisal for an adjacent property for less money than ours. And the adjacent property had water, power, sewer, roads, curb gutter.
approved.
Yeah, everything was, and so then I kicked back and I said, there's no way ours would be more than that property because it doesn't have, yeah, it's undeveloped, it's bare ground. So they adjusted it and the next appraisal came back at 440.
Big difference.
That's a huge difference. And we had when we applied, we said up to 400 because we were thinking like 250, maybe 300. And we weren't sure. And so just for bare ground, that was all. But anyway, it came back at 440. So we got the 400 and we were able to buy that property. So now 400 East can go all the way through at some point if the Clark Dairy ever develops, so.
And we saved ourselves $300,000. 700.
Oh, yeah, on the reappraisal.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah.
I think we sent you the wrong one.
Yeah,
Okay,
on the neighboring property. I read through that one and I was like, yeah, this is not the
So-
same, so.
in light of the fact she says nothing's really changed, that for my benefit, I apologize. Can I just quickly go through this a minute? And so Kate reviewed revenue and spending for ramps, local tax, local option and conservation preservation funds. Receipt of September, ramp, she said, were estimated at 225,000, currently at 84.76. And she's projecting a $35,000 over budget shortfall by year end. To date, the only expense is the $200,000 allocation to recreation programs with no additional fiscal year spending planned. What's the 200,000 allocation to recreation programs? Kelly, do you know? Just
I have no idea.
I think that's the one that goes into fund all the county recreation, soccer and football, and that's what I'm thinking of from the ramp tax.
kind of a general fund.
Kind of a general, and I think, what's that? All the city and county rec. And that was the one where I know that Blaine has brought it up. It's like, I think some of you was like, what are we doing with that 200,000? Like,
Yeah.
what's,
Yeah.
you know, and that's, and I believe when we look at the Recreation Advisory Committee, I think that was the idea of that advisory is like, okay, what is the money being spent on? Where is it going? Cause I know Blaine's concern was the ramp tax goes away in 29,
It does.
but we do have the option from what Kate was saying that we can, you know, renew it. Revote to keep that tax there. Cause, and again, I'm going off of what Blaine's told me as far as the idea with the ramp tax was to basically get infrastructure and whatnot, not be paying salaries and things like that, but start to build what we have so we can have recreation.
So, that, in order to maintain that, that'll have to be on the ballot and again, that ramp debt.
Hmm.
I just, so you know, those of you who are fairly new, that tax is 1/10 of 1%. So what is that? If you spend $100, it costs you a dime.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
So,
and it's not like a huge tax, but when you look at what,
but it generates some money.
yeah, it really does. And when you look at what the rec has done in the last, you know, however many years, when she comes in and she, you know, she presents how many people are participating, you know, even with adult rec. I guess the adult rec with I guess they got adult soccer leagues and softball. And I mean, she's done a great job of building it. The problem that we're having right now is the infrastructure, right? And we're working on some more ball fields over at the fairgrounds, but we're having a problem with the water, getting that allocated correctly, because right now the water that we have is agricultural. And so we can't technically use that for sprinkling grass, I guess. I'm like, well, it's kind of agriculture. But I guess the way that however you use the water for sprinkling fields is not considered agriculture. So we're trying to deal with that on that piece of ground. And then we've gotten the Kent Smith Park expansion will be happening. We're gonna, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that.
So that's 4.6 acres that we're leasing, renting, I guess you have to say rent, through the sewer district. How much, like $100 a year?
Yeah, pretty dang cheap.
That's reasonable.
Yeah,
And it should provide 2 more like soccer fields and then parking, because parking's a big issue there.
everybody parks out on an old highway, which causes major traffic problems and danger.
Right.
So that's something that Raylene was instrumental in working with the sewer district to get that. So we're trying to expand the fields and that, and we obviously work with the school district as well, but you know, we can't just play on their fields. It hammers their fields if all we do is, if they don't have a time to rest, you know? So I think we're making good changes. One thing I'd like to see it, on the county side, I think Raylene's the same as these developments come up, like look at our code as far as what do we do to get more fields and more open space. So, and maybe that's something with the city as we're moving forward, as we're developing and growing, can we incentivize these developers to provide us more open space? Because there is no public ground in Morgan. We're 94% private property. And that's something that with the Greenbelt rollback that's gonna be coming up, is that we get now with the county gets 100% of the rollback. And we have to use it for open space. So that's something that as these farmers are rolling things out, okay, we can now that money, instead of only getting 20% to the county and 80 to the state, we get 100% of that rollback. And it's I don't want to say earmarked, but restricted to open space preservation.
And you have
We
to
can use
spend it
that.
within 10 years.
And we only have 10 years to spend it. So as pieces come up, if we can kind of get a nice little kitty there, we can start purchasing some open space and things like that.
Could you change the application over there by the pickleball court from agriculture to?
That's what we're working on. On the water, you mean?
Yeah.
That's what we're working on. We didn't realize that it had to be used for agriculture. So we're in that process of trying to change
Okay,
the
Water right.
what the water rights says. You know, it's kind of like having stock water, trying to convert it to culinary
Sure.
or flood irrigation. There's that. So we're in that process. We didn't know. And all of a sudden, she's going through the process to get this all done. We're moving forward. And we're like, oh,
Whoops.
we didn't know. So as that came back, we were gonna drill a shallow well to start pumping that water. Like, you can't use this water for your fields. So we have to change that water. Yeah. So we're in the process.
well, thank you. So, as I'm going through this, that the fiscal year we're talking about here, I think is the calendar year, right? The county is on a calendar year. Okay. So where am I? Local option revenue stand at 81.2% and are tracking 28,000 to 31,000 above estimates. Mid-year, the approved spending authority increased from 166,000 to 250 to match previously approved projects. The full 250,000 has been expended, including the project expense number 17, which is a city alleyway project. For corridor preservation, the board had recommended 400,000 for a city land purchase near Clark's Dairy. The county commission initially approved 250 due to the absence of a bill of sale, but that's what Ty was just talking about.
And so that has fully been
Yeah,
expended.
okay, all right. So, yeah. So we're headed to the end of the year, so it'll kind of be interesting to see where these balances end up. So is there any additional comments on?
I'm just curious, like we were over on Front Street with Senator Curtis, or Commercial Street. And we never went behind. How is the alley coming?
Good, we're a couple weeks out from being done, so all the paving's done and then they'll just start on the plaza area, but most of the work was the infrastructure underneath it, and all the tie-ins to all those old buildings. So,
Are you doing a grand opening or anything like that?
we don't have anything planned. It's whatever the mayor wants to do.
Santa
Mayor?
Claus.
He's the party committee, but it should be done by hometown Christmas.
Oh, nice.
We're gonna have drag racing down the road. when
Well, we got Todd with the team, we get a couple teams and do some horse pulls down.
Yeah,
That'd be kind of fun.
There'll be a little bit of parking and plaza space, so people can duck off of Commercial Street and go check it out.
Yeah, if you want to bring George Strait or somebody to town, we can have a concert.
I've got him on speed dial. Let me give him a call right now.
Okay, is there any other questions or comments on the taxes that COG has authority? COG has
Purview.
purview, yeah, that's, yeah, purview. Okay, if not, we'll go to this number item 4, and I actually asked Teresa if she'd put this one on the agenda for us. So, and again, I apologize. Seems like I haven't been to a COG meeting forever because I think we canceled one and I think I missed the last one. And so it seemed like the last time we met though this summer, or whenever I was here, we was discussing a recreation advisory committee. Where do we stand on that? Does anyone, I'm completely at loss on that. Do we have any idea?
So I've brought it up to one of the other commissioners who we sit on over the rec together, that I've had a lot of comments from residents who would like to, where's it going? What are they doing? What are the plans? I feel that we should have a recreation advisory board or committee. I think it'd be good to have that feedback from the residents. I mean, what are we doing well? What can we improve on? Which direction we want to go? I think it's very valuable to have the stakeholders come and tell us, and I guess there was an advisory board prior to, but it kind of got disbanded because it got a little nasty.
I could speak,
That's what I understand.
I could speak to that.
Okay.
You were on
So when I first came on the city council, it was Morgan Recreation, whatever we called it. And right from the moment I got on city council, I could not understand the funding for the recreation. It was, correct me if I'm wrong here, anyone, it was 44, 44, 12. 44 county, 44 school board, 12% city. So it was funded 100% through those three entities at that percentage. And as I recall, it seemed like the total for all of them was, it seemed like the school board and the county's share was like 22,000 or 24,000. The city ended up with like 10 or 8 or 10, 12. And I thought to myself, how did we ever get to this sort of a funding mechanism? You know, this 44, 44, 12, where's the logic in this? And by the way, I still can't answer that. And so I guess, honestly, I think probably Kelly and I probably sort of championed this ramp tax and says, why don't we initiate a ramp tax and generate our funding through this ramp, recreation, arts, museums, parks. Anyway, but as I recall, initially this 44-44-12 generated about $50,000-$60,000.
50 grand or so.
And so now with the ramp tax, we're a couple of $100,000. Yeah. But I remember one of the county council members talking to me one day, and they says, you realize that if we go to the ramp tax, that the county is the entity that's going to collect that tax, and so they essentially will be the overseers of the recreation, because they are the tax collectors from that fund. And which means that you know, so at the time, when we was back to the 44-44-12, we did have a board, and there was somebody assigned from the city, somebody assigned from the school board, from the county, and that constituted the board. But so what this county council member was telling me is that basically they said, so you may not have any say in it anymore, because you know the way we're going to start collecting this ramp tax. And so I guess that's where we are today. I mean, you know, that committee is it's gone. Yeah, and
Committee.
And it may be a little bit, I may be talking two different ones then. Cause I've had some parents of kids that are in the rec that were saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there used to be an advisory board for county rec where the parents were involved with the sports and the different things they were doing. And what I heard from a previous commission was like, it got pretty Western between the parents and nothing. It was just kind of like just a bunch of angry people yelling at each other. And so it may be two different, like maybe they were focused more on the sports side and you're talking about the financial side, two different committees or boards.
Well, it's been a long time since I was assigned to that recreation board. I mean, it was several years ago, but we'd hold those meetings with someone representing the county, city, and school board. And as I recall, most of those meetings I went to, it was like I could hear crickets. I mean,
It must be different meetings.
No,
I've had parents call me like that they want to see the advisory board come back because they don't feel that the person over the county rec is really doing what's in the best interest of the participants.
okay.
Which I'm all for. I mean, as a school teacher, I mean, I'm always reaching out to parents and students and counselors and other teachers, like, what can I do better? I mean, and not take it as, like when we went over having the good grief, the county employees and their department heads do a kind of not a survey, but kind of a reflection on them, right? Like this shouldn't be negative, but are there things you need help with? Or is there trainings you need? Where do you feel you need help, or that you can see your supervisor can help you, or you know what I mean? And so it's like, that's kind of how I see, I mean, maybe this one is like from the parent side or the people participating, where do you think that this person could do a better job? But yet we want it to be constructive, not attacking somebody. And maybe the one you're talking about is more of the funding side of it as far as how do we fund things?
It was the only rec board in the county, and there was no other board associated with county rec. And we represented all the entities. Like Tony said, all the meetings it was an open public meeting. So sometimes we'd have parents come, ask questions once in a while, but generally about like this, which is a public meeting. The only heated part of the become at the end is when the ramp tax was going through, if you read it, there has to be an advisory board to even spend money.
Yeah.
And that's where you have failed, or we have failed since the tax was back. There has been no, exactly what you said, advisory board to help who's ever in charge make good decisions. Kate, when she talked to us about this and talked to before, and when she brought it up, she wanted to have this group and also involve some parents, through our community, which
Mhm.
makes sense, exactly what you're saying. The only heated point of the meeting was at the end, there was members believing that the county was going to work with the rec board and have that advisory board kind of help go through the growth spurt. We went to one meeting and we just showed up like a normal night and got started in that. And then in what the county attorney and told us we had to stop, that it wasn't none of our business what was going on and how the money was being spent or anything else in the county rec program anymore. And that was the last time we met.
Interesting.
They sent us all home.
What year was that?
The first, right after the ramp tax become,
3 or 4 years.
Was
ago.
that 2019 then? Because it was a 10-year tax, isn't it?
yep,
Oh, yeah.
just
So it should
wasn't
have been
only a
about
couple of months.
2019.
That's the last time there was ever an entity like this that met to help be an advisory board of the county.
Okay.
And so
I
I
guess,
think it's great. I think
Yeah.
we need to move forward with exactly what you're saying.
I think we have commission meeting tomorrow night and I
That's
mean,
fine.
either Raylene or myself can bring it up at our comments about, I think, my opinion is just, and again, I'm just one, is what's wrong with having more stakeholder input, right? And that's my teacher thing, or Andy's over here like, these dang teachers and their stakeholder input, right? But that's what it's like, how do we know which direction to go if we have no input? I don't participate. I have no kids that participate. I have no clue what they're doing. Other than she needs ball fields and she's working with the school district and trying to use fields and, I mean, whatever.
you can't manage what you can't measure.
Yeah, and so why not have that input? And, do we need more pickleball courts? We need more baseball fields? Like, what do we need? And
The code might say what the makeup of the advisory board should be.
And that was my question I wrote down.
So when
Who
you structure something, you might just refer back and see who
is on this advisory board as a question?
needs to be. Yeah, because a lot of the state requirements, like tourism tax advisory board says who needs to be on it, the economic development board has specific requirements of who needs to be on it. So
well, if it's a county code, we can always change the code. If it's a state code,
well, normally it's a state,
you know,
maybe it's a state code is all I'm saying. If they're the ones that require the advisory board
for the ramp tax,
for the ramp tax, it might specify,
who and what.
yeah, how many of who and all that stuff.
Yeah, I wrote down who would be on it, and another one I wrote down is so who is responsible for organizing it or establishing it. And I would assume it would be.
Well, we can look in the code, and like I said, either Raylene or I could bring it up in our comments tomorrow and just let's get the ball rolling and saying, okay, this was brought to our attention. We need to have this advisory board. By code, who are we required to have them?
How often do they meet,
Yeah.
I'm sure it would have to be a public meeting, so. Anyway,
Mhm.
so I guess my question obviously is, do we all have a feel or that there's a need for it? The advisory board?
I believe so.
I think so.
State code says so.
I'm gonna say if we're required to have it, and then even if we're not, I mean, when you look at this, the city, I mean, when you have the city, the school and the county, we're small enough to where we all participate in this. Should we not have a say? Cause I mean, or at least a guidance. I mean, we've got a lot of facility with the school district, but a lot of it, we have to be careful with it because we don't want to wear out the fields. So what is it that they can provide? So that is going to kind of guide us in the direction we need to go. Because if we're just thinking, well, we got all the ball fields in the school district, and they're like, oh yeah, but you can't use them all the time. We want their input so we can start to guide, what do we need to buy? What do we need to fund?
My other thought would be if we had this once we have this advisory committee up and running, I think it would be beneficial if this committee were able to actually take a look at the financials and see money in, money out and where's it going, which would help them make some decisions as to how they wanna.
Well, and with that, I remember talking to Blaine, cause he was the commissioner over rec before I came on. And he was talking about that same thing about the funds and how, you know, the RAM tax, we were using it to fund, basically paying a salary in it to get things moving. But eventually we want rec to be self-sufficient to where they're generating enough revenue to where it kind of pays for itself, but then the ramp tax money goes to increasing fields and making the facilities better and not paying for salaries. Was kind of that's kind of what he told me.
Well, and that's what's curious to us, after serving on the rec board for a number of years, at 50 grand, the rec program was sustainable and supporting itself.
With
There was no
fees-
extra
with
money.
fees, with some fees.
Yeah, well,
And
and
the fees are still there.
Yes, the
That's
They're still there.
what's
question that-
concerned me now is the fees are still there.
Yeah, and where's all the
Still
money?
paying to participate in all these sports.
We're generating.
And we're generating an extra 200,000. And to what you said with some of your constituents, where has it been going?
Right.
And with your advisory board, what makes sense was, and so when you go to an activity or one of us, because we always get questions about why is this happening? Why this? And our basic answer is we don't know.
Mhm.
Because we don't meet with anybody about the rec program. All we do is see what's happening. So there is a lot of questions around that, and we've been asked the same thing that you have been asked.
So according to ChatGTP, Title 17 says requires a tourism tax advisory board, at least 5 members. Composition, a majority must be residents employed by entities subject to the relevant taxes. The rest must be employed, is this different? By recreational facilities, conventional facilities, museum, cultural attractions, and tourism.
That's the tourism tax. That's TRT. That's not the.
That's what I was wondering, because then in the ramp tax, it says an advisory board is not required unless it's in the county code.
So it just follow us, but again, I mean, and if that's the case, if state code doesn't require it, we're the legislative body, it's like, I just have a hard time, especially when we're dealing with taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
Why should, the people should know where their money's going? You know, that's just, again, that's the school teacher, me being beat into me that it's taxpayer.
Need a resolution.
I agree.
You know, we would have to change our code, but maybe we look into that and say, okay, it's not required by state, but.
I mean, there was the Clarkey Lucas Fund, and you're all going, what's the Clarkey Lucas Fund? There was, how much donated to the rec board? Kelly, did Clarkey donate to the rec board?
It was over,
It was a few $100,000,
yeah.
$300,000 or $400,000 that a gentleman here in town donated to the rec board as when Wilkinson Complex was being built, but the last time I heard, I thought there was still money that,
There was either 40 or 60,000 still in it.
so I don't know, you know, where that stands either, so anyway.
Well, and the
Sure.
other thing, and maybe it's, because like when we look at the airport advisory board and these things, they really hold no power or authority, they're a recommending board. And so it's like, what does our county code say? I've just typed it down, so it's like, okay, it appears that the state code doesn't require it. So it defaults to county code. What does our county code say? And then at the end of the day, is if there's just a recommending body, then again, that adds that transparency as far as like, here's the money we're bringing in. This is the direction that the board would like to see it go. This is what the school district can provide us, you know, but we need to start preparing. And so I don't know, I just have a hard time with not having more input, and I don't want to have meetings, just have meetings, but
No,
I think when you're dealing with taxpayer dollars, we want to make sure that the taxpayer know where their dollars are going.
yeah, I agree.
And especially in our community, it's a big thing. A
Mhm.
lot of kids participate.
Yes.
and We have a lot of interaction between buildings and everything else, so.
I mean, it's
I'm like what's been commented by Angie and others, the fact that it just makes best practices when you're dealing with the public's money. More input makes it a sharper decision.
Well, and I think, I mean, what is the appearance when the people come to you and ask, you know, like, I don't know, we're not allowed to see it.
yeah,
What does that say?
the optics aren't good, are they?
And it may not, maybe they don't understand it. Like, well, I don't see it because, well, they're like, well, what are they hiding? That's the first thing. Well, where's the corruption? Where are they stealing our money? What are they, you know?
Mhm.
And that's, I mean, that's where we are. So it's like, if we can say, oh yeah, this is how much we bring in and this is the direction we're taking it. We're in the process of building fields here. We're working on, you know what I mean? And you can share that with the people.
This is where the money's being spent, up line item by line item by,
Yeah.
line item,
Over the last couple of years, Kate's been really good to say, here's the ramp tax stuff. The question we had a few years ago is, what about all the other fees? All the participation stuff?
Yep.
And we were pretty well told, that's none of your business, which is a little, there's all this other pool of money that never shows up under the ramp tax that what's going on with it?
See, and I know that
Nobody's ever been able to answer that.
with the fees, I know that, that Lydia did a presentation not too many months ago. She came in and kind of said, this is the number of people doing this and that, and here's the fees. And so it's kind of like when we do it, we're in the middle of a fee study right now to see, are we charging enough? Are we not charging enough? And it's kind of like, because it shouldn't fall on the county or the city or the entity to be subsidizing this participation. And because it came up in the meeting, it was like, we have a generous enough community that no kid's going to be left out.
Sure.
You know, but I agree with you. Okay, if it's
Well, parents.
$100 fee to play football, what does my $100 get me?
Mhm.
Right? Because I know, again, that the school district I teach at, if I require a fee, I have to fill out this nice long form saying, this is what every penny is spent on. But then you go into fee waivers, right? If a kid, he still gets the same stuff, but doesn't have to pay for it. So it's easier for me to just not charge fees. Because their paperwork is a nightmare. And so I'm like, I don't want to fill out the paperwork, so we don't charge fees. But I mean, I agree that those fees, I mean, they're paid to a government entity. It's public dollars. That money needs to be, this is where it's going. This is what we're charging. We shouldn't be just rolling in the dough because we know that this kid can pay a bunch of money to play football. You know, we should be charged enough to let it work. You know, we gotta buy new pads or helmets or whatever. I mean, you gotta have enough money to do that, but it can't just become a cash cow, you know, so.
And it's not, we went through the.
Oh, no, it's not making a whole bunch of money. But I just mean the fact that they're telling you it's none of your business. I'm like, yeah, I don't agree with that.
No.
But it's not a cash cow. I will say that. It's,
And you
I
can
mean-
go in and look at the budget.
what's that?
It's not our purview.
right.
Yeah, and I guess that's just the bottom line is just, an accounting of what's going on
But
and
you can go in and request to see all that.
take a look and dig down in the weeds a little bit, but anyway,
And the last
Oh.
time we got a copy of that, it was about that thick.
Who
And
wants to go
even
through?
talking with Kate, you couldn't follow it.
Well,
You couldn't follow the expenditures and went to billing and then went to Joe and then went all this. And so you looked at it and we had a good visit about that. And so that's when the state audit with Kate and that, and she's done a great job to try to straighten things out and make it simpler and make it more things. So yes, you can go there, but unless they change the document for it, yeah, it was a nightmare.
it was a little busy, wasn't it?
Yeah,
well, I
you
know
gotta-
now, now that we're using that, the Clear Gov program, God, it was so much nicer this year than it was last year.
Yeah.
Flipping through the binders and now it's just, you guys use that same Clear Gov, man, what a difference. Sitting through that last year was like, was just painful. Now this year was very nice. It was all right there. It was easy.
So I guess my question is, so what is the output of this discussion? What's the action here that we want to take out of this meeting?
Well, to me, I mean, what I'm getting at is you guys would like to see an advisory committee.
Yeah.
And so I think we go back to the county, because obviously it sounds like there's no state code requiring it. What does our county code require? And then to look at the county code, and if we need to,
Double check that.
yeah, let's just see what the county code, I've got in here what does our county code say that we need to do? And I see no reason that we don't have one. I don't know that we're not trying to hide anything that I've been told, so I've been saying, don't say anything to the city. What's that?
So
And it's more open to the public.
Just say, now write me a code.
Yeah, write me a code for this
What
one.
the code said.
We're gonna replace Garrett because we have ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. So what we'll do is we'll just go ahead on whenever we meet again, probably next month or January, we'll just have that on the agenda, update on our
Not
So don't-
necessarily.
Let me,
maybe
don't let me
your
forget that,
notes.
Teresa. So, oh, I won't be the chair. We'll hand it to some, where do we go? Where do we go next year?
Sorry?
It's a school, isn't
I
it?
think we're to the school. Well, we're at the county last.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I've always met right here. It's nice right here.
I think it's
That
back
was
to the school,
county.
board, yeah.
Okay, oh, so you rotate.
And meet over at the.
Just like doing the 9 a.m. church or the 10:30.
Yeah, yeah, we rotate around.
Yeah.
Your building, this building, that building.
So,
Meet over at the district office.
Next year we go to the district.
And maybe one note to when you asked about the board is, not that every member here on COG, but maybe an individual from each entity is
Yeah.
part of that. Because it involves all of us, and then we all can answer it when we come back here, or go to our constituents in whatever manner it might be. That might help over time, help them understand where we've been and where we're going and what the idea was. I don't know,
yeah,
what do you think?
yeah, I think probably that would be a good idea as well. So however that board is
Especially
constituted.
the school, because the rec program should be feeders into your sports programs.
Yeah.
There should be a connection between the youth leagues and
Would you want Lydia to come give a presentation on fees and where they're going and all that, or?
I would be, I mean, I would be.
If
okay
you
with
like
that,
that.
you know, I mean.
Is that something you want to do at COG or is that something you want to do with a new board?
It would be nice.
Yeah.
In an ideal world. Back to Kelly's, the last time we got a report on that, I'd had to go get a CPA to help me decipher it, but anyway, it'd almost be nice to have a little one page, you know, this is what ramp tax generated, this is what fees generated, and this is where the money was expended. That, you know, that would be heaven if we had something like that, you know, as simple as that, but anyway, all right, so any other discussion on that? So we'll put that up. We'll make sure we have that on the agenda the next time we meet, and we'll just get a report from the county to see how that's going. So appreciate your help with that. Is there any other item of business that we need to talk about as COG? No applications from anyone for the remainder of the year on any of the funds, Ty, that
I know those are only a 1 year
on your,
cycle. So we're in the planning process. So we have a COG working group and RPO meetings. We're still having those. So we'll look at the lists and that sort of thing. I guess one concern is we go through all that work and rank all of the projects. The county really hasn't had a lot of projects that rank very high because they're all maintenance projects. And so when we go into the new year, just if you, and I think a lot of it's just left up to Brett, like between us, he comes up with the list, but the city, when we do our list, it goes through the council. Like, it's a whole capital improvement list. It's all approved. It's all part of the whole budget. It's not just saying, here's what road projects I have going on, and a lot of them are just maintenance. And so like a lot of the concerns that I hear is from the county sometimes is like, well, we want to do X, Y, or Z, and it's not on the list, or it doesn't rank very high. And so just as we work on that and the RPO, it would be nice to get some more county projects mixed into the higher ranking. So when we fund them, so last time when we did the round of funding for third quarter, the county and the city both had a project, but the county project was ranked one of the lowest and the city's was ranked one of the highest, and the county's project was a maintenance item, which isn't the best use of third quarter fund. It's, that's supposed to be additional money.
I think that was one thing because I was trying to get a kind of a hold when we were at the last.
Okay,
Working group.
I wasn't there, or I mean, at the working group I was, but not,
Just like, okay, what is the purpose, like trying to get a grasp on everything? And I think that's where we kind of talked a little bit about like sidewalk, curb and gutter up by the airport, things like that would be an
Yeah.
improvement and not just an overlay.
it would be a brand new, yep.
So those were kind of things I was trying to grasp, okay, like what can we use on where those, what's beneficial to, would raise that up. And so I've taken a few more notes here to kind of say,
Okay,
get away from the maintenance and what are more things that we can do that would be more of a new construction,
yeah,
improvements.
yeah. I wasn't, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying like, as we go, it'd be nice to have higher ranking and higher priority projects get recommended from this body on the third quarter. So I'm mostly just concerned about not who gets the money, but the type of things we're spending the money on, so.
I think that was, and I don't know about Ray Lee, but I know trying to figure out where all this money can be used, should be used, all I'm like, okay, which one are we talking about now? Where's it?
Yeah, well, and there's a ton of discretion, right? But for the COG to be the recommending body, then that's just one thing and even, even direction from COG back to the working group could be, we're not gonna recommend any maintenance projects. So they might be on your list, but you could just take that off the table as a COG. I'm not a member of COG, so that's why you could give the direction that way, but, we'll go through another cycle where we add projects, take off projects, re-rank them and all that stuff. So that's kind of the beginning of our year cycle. So next year when we have recommendations for projects, we get a little bit, the alley, of course, was our number one project and it scored the highest and we did get money for it. So we appreciate that as well, but that's an enhancement. That's a brand new build,
As the bridge was,
economic benefit, had all of it.
as the bridge was as well.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
Well, on that light, in closing, no, I just was thinking the other day, I thought, our COG is much, much more effective in the last couple of years than it has been in previous years. In fact, it's just as far as knowing funding and what money we do have the ability to have some discussion on, and it's just a lot more, it feels a lot more organized, and at least I feel like I have an idea of a lot more idea of what's going on with COG. So it seems to me, it seems to be functioning very well and much, much better, so than it has in years past. So thanks to you all for that. I'll appreciate it. If nothing else, happy Thanksgiving. We'll adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
You'll evaluate the necessity of a December meeting and let us all know.